Earth's Scariest Places, Part 44. This is some of the wreckage located in Chuuk Lagoon, located in Micronesia. During World War II, this was one of Japan's main naval bases in the South Pacific, until Operation Hailstorm. In 1944, the Americans bombed the lagoon, destroying 44 warships, 275 aircraft, and an unknown number of armored vehicles. The operation also took over 150 Japanese lives. The aircraft, tanks, and ships, and the souls of those who died here still rest in this place, frozen in time. Apparently, the lagoon is very haunted. Divers have described ships moving on their own, ghosts in the water, and the muffled screaming of those who have died here. That's what makes this one of our...
This is like a good place if you're a ghost hunter, because I was looking at YouTube videos and there's some ghost hunters who go out to the bridge at night and like investigate.
Make those lights light up again.
That one's not moving.
All right, make them go off again.
Mind you guys that there's no one there, so you're on your own.
Scary Places in the Netherlands, Part 8. Around 1400, rather lurid practices took place on the Gallows field Volwage, near the Tolhuis in Amsterdam, Noord. Criminals sentenced to death were publicly hanged. The location for the Gallows field was not chosen at random. It was strategically located in a busy spot with many boats passing by. It served as a warning to those who visited Amsterdam. Amsterdam had a no-mercy policy for criminals. The necessary theatrical elements were added to the executions. The criminals were displayed with the object with which they had committed their crime. At least 1,000 criminals found their final resting place on the gallows on Volwage, after a shell laboratory had settled on the banks of the IJ. In nowadays, many new apartments have been built here. Yet the field remains empty, as if we still don't want to live where they hung on the gallows.
Earth's Scariest Places, Part 44. This is Huguang Opera House, and I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation. It's located in bustling Beijing, China. This place was originally built in the 1800s to house the homeless and the poor, and it stayed that way until the end of World War II. Today, it's an opera house. You can go there to watch live shows and music, but this place has a dark secret. Not many people know that this place was built on an ancient burial ground. Tons of graves were disrupted to build this building, and it's reportedly very haunted. Sometimes ghosts are seen sitting in the seats and walking across the stage. There's a courtyard out back, and if you throw rocks at it, apparently a ghost will throw the rocks back at you and yell at you. This opera house is still open today. This has got to be one of...
This is a true story about an incident that happened on the street that I live on. I live in an area where there's a lot of crime. I'm talking about robberies, house break-ins, shootouts. So a couple weeks ago, there was a block party on the street that I live on. Around 1 a.m., a group of local females were walking from the party to their house. They are people that I know. When they were about to leave the party, one of the females was approached by a guy in a white car. The guy in the white car told the girl, "A donde vas te llevo?" Which means, "Where are you going? I'll take you." This is a big red flag. After that happened, all of them just walked back home. They're walking on the street, and when they turn back, they see the white car following them, just following them really slowly. And the mom in the group told everyone, "Córrele, córrele, run, run." So they're running, and when they turn back, the car is still there. They make it back into the house, they lock the doors, everything is shut. They then went upstairs to get a better view of the street. The white car was parked. The guys inside the car started to beep, 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 beep. As you can imagine, everyone was scared. The mom heard stories about this happening, but couldn't really imagine this happening to her and her daughter. At this point, the mom calls a friend in the police force. When the police did arrive, it was too late. The white car was gone. She tells me that she's scared because she thinks that they might come back. They know where she lives. She doesn't want to go outside anymore at night. The point of the story is to stay alert when you're walking alone at night. You don't know what intentions strangers have. The day after the party, the mom came to me and she shared her story about what happened to her, her daughter, and her friends. She wanted to bring awareness because this really can happen anywhere.
Scary Places in the Netherlands, Part 12. This alley in Amsterdam is being haunted by a beautiful woman named Helena. She lived in Amsterdam with her sister Dina in the 18th century. One day Dina fell in love with a young sailor boy named Walter. They were destined to be married, but Helena also had fallen in love with Walter and became jealous. She tried seducing Walter, but when Dina tried to intervene, Helena locked her up in the basement and murdered her. Helena was cast for killing Dina, but there are different stories about who cast her. Some say it was Dina while she slowly died. Others say Walter cursed Helena when he found out what she had done. However, the curse is always the same. Every 100 years after Helena died, her ghost would return to the crime scene, angry and screaming. Her soul can't find peace because of what she has done.
Earth's Scariest Places Part 43. This is Pisco, Peru. It's known for its beautiful views and local culture, but it's also known for something a little bit more sinister. Here's the backstory. This woman is Sarah Ellen Roberts, and in 1913 in Blackburn, England, she was tried and found guilty of murder and witchcraft. She was sentenced to death. She was to be chained up and placed into a coffin until she suffocated. This is ironic because the people of Blackburn also accused her of being a vampire. They believed that she was one of Dracula's brides. As the coffin shut, Sarah swore that 80 years later she would come and take vengeance on those responsible. After Sarah's death, no one would take her body, so her husband sailed the world looking for somewhere to bury his wife. That's when he landed on Pisco, Peru. Pisco was the only place that would take the body. Now 80 years passed, and in 1993 nothing happened, but in 2007 there was a massive earthquake, and ironically only her grave survived. But the locals of Pisco say her ghost still haunts the streets. That's why Pisco, Peru is one of Earth's
3 scariest places on Earth. Number 1 on the list is hanging coffins in Sagada, Philippines. It has a unique burial ritual. Hundreds of wooden coffins dangle from cliffs and caves. The Sagada people have been practicing such burials for over 2,000 years, and some of the coffins are well over a century old. Eventually the coffins get old and deteriorate, and they fall from their positions. Number 2 on the list is Snake Island in São Paulo, Brazil. This island has one of the highest concentrations of venomous snakes. Get away, snakes! Get away! Get away from me! It has the golden lance head pit viper. One bite from it can kill a grown adult within a few hours. Number 3 on the list is Island of the Dolls in Xochimilco, Mexico. The tiny island is famous for hundreds of dolls and doll parts hanging from the trees and scattered among the grass. Oh hell no! It's dedicated to the lost soul of a young girl who died at a young age. What do you think about these 3 places, and what would you add to the list? Follow for more scariest places on Earth.
Scary Places in the Netherlands Part 13. Occult rituals were happening in this house. Many people were sacrificed in the round house in Nunspeet. The owner Frank van Vloten was the leader of the cult. People were smuggled in and out of the tunnels underneath the house and later sacrificed in occult rituals. After the owner's death, strange things started happening in and around the house. The house fell into disrepair and became too dangerous to live in. It was teared down in 1967. However, you can still see where the house used to be, and it is said that the tunnels are still there.
Earth's Scariest Places Part 42. This place is Old Changi Hospital, located in Singapore. It is one of the most haunted places in Asia and has an incredibly dark history. The hospital was built in 1935 by British colonists. It didn't last long and was seized by the Japanese in 1942 during World War II. The Japanese used it as a military base and a place to house prisoners. Japanese prisoners of war were tortured, murdered, underfed, and overworked here. Here's a picture of actual prisoners at the facility. After the war ended, the place was abandoned, but the souls of the prisoners remained. This place is riddled with paranormal activity and just an eerie vibe. Apparently you can see the ghosts in the windows, hear their screaming, and if you come close enough you can see them wandering through the halls. That's why this is one of
So what's that mysterious buzzing or humming? Residents of Taos, located in north central New Mexico, have been hearing this mysterious buzzing, this hum. This was first reported in the early 1990s, so scientists did go out to investigate. About 2% of the population did report about hearing this buzzing, this hum. The investigation didn't find anything to explain this mysterious sound. There's a lot of theories online. Some say that it's underground tunnels, others say that it's a natural phenomenon, others say that it's probably a trick of the mind. Yo, this would be a good Netflix show. What do you think? Was this just a trick of the mind, or is there something going on in that town?
Scariest Places, Part 41. Warning, these photos do get a bit graphic. This is Fort Santiago, located in the Philippines. Although it has a beautiful exterior, it has a rather dark history of murder and torture. Founded in the 1500s, this fort has had many different purposes throughout history. It was used by the Spanish as a military installation and prison. Prisoners suffered poor living and working conditions, overcrowding, torture, and murder here. Then the Japanese captured the fort in World War II and used it for the same purposes. Here's a picture of one of the prison cells during World War II. This place is riddled with the souls of the people that were murdered and tortured here, most notably Jose Rizal. Jose Rizal was a Filipino national hero. He remained here until he was executed. Apparently you can still hear the footsteps and the screams of the people that died here. This is one of
Scary Places in the Netherlands. Part 1. 40 minutes from Amsterdam, you find Fort Eilandage Muiden. For decades there have been spooky stories about supernatural things happening. The fort was built between 1881 and 1888 to defend Amsterdam. In World War II, the Germans claimed the fort and used it in their Atlantic Wall, a system of defenses along the coast of Europe. After the war, the fort fell into disrepair. In the past decades, people have seen moving light spots and heard mysterious voices and sounds of footsteps. When someone once went down in a well looking for historical objects, his light broke down. He saw a smiling German soldier coming towards him. Since 1996, the fort is on the UNESCO World Heritage List and it was renovated. You can visit the fort for events and guided tours. Dare to take a visit. Like for Part 2.
Earth's Scariest Places, Part 40. This is the Story Inn, located in Nashville, Indiana. From the outside, it just looks like a rusted, broken down hotel. But it has an interesting history and tons of reported paranormal activity, which has been caught on camera. Watch to the end to see the photos. The town of Story was founded in 1851 with lots of shops, buildings, and this hotel. Great Depression rolled around, most of the jobs were lost, and the town was pretty much abandoned. Only a handful of people remained. Until 1998, that's how it remained. That year, a man by the name of Rick Hofstetter bought the town, including the hotel. And when he was rummaging through the hotel, he found the logbooks of the people who stayed in the rooms. They all talked about one thing, a ghost named the Blue Lady. Apparently, she can be summoned by turning on the blue light in this room. He didn't believe it until he started seeing her for himself. Once the hotel started being active again and people started staying again, she started showing herself a lot. It's described as an old woman with beating blue eyes, sometimes wearing a white gown. Today you can stay in this room and summon her for yourself. That's why the Story Inn is one of
Scary Places in the Netherlands. Part 3. In this Dutch castle, Dr. Faust made a deal with the devil. Dr. Faust was a traveling surgeon. He wanted to create the Philosopher's Stone in Castle Wardenburg, but it didn't work. That's why he asked for the devil's help and made a pact. For 7 years Faust could get what he wanted. But after those years his soul would be for the devil. The devil dragged him outside through the bars of the window. The traces of blood can still be seen on the walls. Until 1975 people still lived in the castle, but it has been empty for decades now. Maybe for a good reason. Like for more. Scary Places in the Netherlands. Part 5. This house is not only haunted, it's also known for its famous Dutch residents. Emiel Ratelband and Johan Lemmix were consecutively owners of the house. This 400-year-old house has seen many things. Rumor has it that a woman hung herself, and it was haunted by soldiers that were killed in the area during World War II. This was the reason for Emiel Ratelband to sell the house. His ex-wife was too afraid for the ghosts. Johann Vlemix bought the house. However, it seemed that the ghosts wanted him not to. When he drove to the house for the first time, his navigation stopped working, got a flat tire, and was almost hit by another car. Johann started a haunted hotel in the house. You could sleep in a coffin. He sold the house in 2017. It was renovated and split into apartments. Would you dare to live there?
Three scary places on Earth. Number 1 on the list is the Gomutan Caves located in Malaysia. The limestone walls reach about 300 feet. You need a strong stomach because it's home to a lot of bats, centipedes, and cockroaches. Number 2 on the list is Pripyat, Ukraine. The city had a population of 50,000 residents, but when the Chernobyl disaster hit in 1986, that's when the whole entire city evacuated. It is your classic ghost town. Number 3 on the list is the Great Blue Hole located in Belize. It is a giant marine sinkhole. In December 2018, 2 submarines went there to map out the area. They accomplished their mission, but what they discovered was 2 bodies at the bottom. Which place would you visit and what would you add to the list?
Was lost in highs, pushing you aside. I couldn't let you back in. But now I'm ready to fix all those careless slips, wishing we could start rebuilding. Don't wanna let you go, don't wanna be alone. Cause baby, you know I miss us. I'm ready to work for our love. Don't wanna let you go, don't wanna be alone. Cause baby, you know I miss us. I'm ready to work for our love.
Bear in mind just one thing. For me, you are still the only